Hello and welcome to the workshop, where today we're joined by Ben Jones from Heljan to showcase the final production samples of the brand new 00 gauge Class 47. So Ben, thank you for joining us today with a superb looking pair of Class 47s here on the layout today.
Thank you.
So these have been quite a challenging project, being a Class 47.
Yes, it's probably the biggest, most complicated loco project we've ever tackled in 00. It's there were 512 of the real thing. They are endlessly complicated. And we've tried to factor as much of that into the model as we can.
Yeah, 'cause you've got lots of different components you can make upon these to model lots of different periods of locos, different cab ends and all those kind of functions as well, haven't you?
They're almost infinitely variable. You've got so many different options. The boiler end roof is a separate part, and there's 7 or 8 different options for that. The radiator fan end is a separate part, and you've got 2 different options for that at the moment, with probably a third to come eventually. The cabs, there are at least 9 different variants on the cabs with original format, with a headlight, high intensity headlight fitted, plated overhead cold panels, cutaway buffer beams and cab cowling around the base of the cab, and the control cables for push-pull locos as well. So there's enormous variation on the body,
which is handy with such an enormous class. And like I say, we've got the 47O in D1969 here on the layout, and we've got a 47-4 in 47-596. They're quite different locomotives really in terms of the detail components that make them up, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right. I brought one of each really to show exactly that. There's obviously the other thing with these 2 locos as well is that you've got the water tanks for the boiler on the steam heat one. This 47-4 doesn't have the water tanks, it's just the battery boxes. And then there's a third variant with the battery boxes and the later extended range fuel tanks. So yeah, I mean, it's there's no end of options for us to work from.
So how did you go about actually assembling all the plans for these to actually decide how are you going to model them?
We're fortunate in that there's quite a lot of published material about 47s. There's really good websites like class47.co.uk, which is a brilliant source for photos and liveries and just information about the real thing. We've worked with a couple of really well-renowned Class 47 experts to help us capture some of the less well-known details. So yeah, we're very fortunate in that there are people out there who are willing to share their knowledge.
Yeah, and were you able to get access to any original drawings or anything like that for them?
We've obviously done the 47 in the past, both our old Class 47, which was very popular in its day, but we've not made for about 10 or 12 years. And then we've done it again. We've done 2 O gauge versions. So we had lots of Class 47 reference material already on file, which we've worked from again.
And obviously this is a world away from the previous generation 47. It's all new, literally from the wheels up, isn't it?
It is. There aren't any common parts between this and the old 47. As many people know, the old 47 was too wide, a bit too broad across the beam, so we couldn't reuse it. And the tooling for the old one is, as we produced so many of them over the years, the tooling is worn out.
Yeah, because it must be at least 20 years ago that was done now. So
2004 the first ones came out. Yeah.
So pretty much it's going to be almost 20 years to the date then when actually this first batch arrives, because they're coming in the early new year of 2024, aren't they? So
that's right. They'll be here in January and February. Yeah.
And another big departure with these as well is actually you've got full sound capability as well from the factory for these, aren't you?
Yeah. That technologically and in terms of specification and stuff, they're as you said, they're a world away from the previous 47, which was. It was DCC ready, but that was about it. This has got various different lighting functions, so cab lights, engine room lights, head cold panel and separate high intensity headlights.
So they're all actually separately switchable in the sound profile, aren't they, as well?
Everything is separately switchable, yeah. It's got it's got provision for DCC sound, and obviously for the first time in 00, we're actually offering sound fitted versions as well.
Because that's actually new for Heljan as well, isn't it? Because previously you haven't actually offered factory sound fitted locos, have you?
Not in 00. We've done it in HO with some of our Danish models, but we've never done it in 00 before. But we thought that the market has moved to such an extent now towards sound that we need to we need to meet that demand.
So where have you gone for the sound for the 47s?
As many people will know, I think Lego Man Biffo is one of the longest established and best known, and also sort of widely admired sound developers in the UK. And Ian has done the sound for these new 47s using his existing sound project.
But it's not just one sound profile either, is it? You've actually got different sound profiles for the 47Os and the 47.4s of the ETH as well.
That's right. Well, Lego Man Biffo goes to the extent of has created different sound projects for the 47.0 and 47.3s, which is the steam heat and no heat versions, and the electric train heat fitted 47.4s, which actually tick over faster than the standard locos, because the train heating is tapped off the diesel engine. So we've got that. These two locos in front of us have got different sound projects, and it's not just the engine sound either. There are different functions for things like passenger trains and the ScotRail Class 47.7s. So you've got lighting functions and setups that will allow you to model that prototypically.
Yeah. So that's one of the things I liked about these, is actually, even just a brief playing with these before we started talking about them here today, is actually the operation of the lighting function is really quite clever, because you can actually turn all of the number 2 end lights off, for example, on this Network Southeast one we've got here, because it's coupled up to a train, just with one function change. And you can turn them back on just as easily by turning that function off. And then, like I said, you've got the cab lights, where actually the cab lights, they turn off as well, don't they, once the loco starts moving, if you've got it switched on.
Absolutely. Well, the advantage of working with somebody as experienced and as skillful as Lego Man Biffo is that they've worked all that out in advance. And that means we can, without having to sort of go through the development ourselves, we can just tap straight into their experience and their skill and add that to our new model.
So in terms of the actual decoder socket and sound chips for these, what socket arrangement is it, and what type of sound chip is it?
It's a 21-pin socket, and the sound fitted locos have got an ESU Locksound V5 as standard.
And what speakers are coupled to that?
There's the speakers are there's 2 speakers in the fan end. They're iPhone type speakers, and they're built into an enclosure under the fan, so you get the full effect of the sound out of the fan end.
Yeah, so it's actually a bespoke sound setup as well for this.
Yeah.
So in terms of this new Class 47, then, have you got a highlight feature that you're proud of that Heljan's been able to put into this?
I mean, there are lots of things with this 47 to admire. I really like the cab interior. Both the detail and the decoration is really a step ahead of anything we've done before, and I think a step ahead of any of the previous 47s that we've done before. You could probably see in the close-up photos we've got the angled framework inside the cab, which I don't think has been done before, but when you stand next to a 47 it's a really obvious feature. That's in there behind the windows. That's carried over from our O gauge 47 actually. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff to admire. I particularly like this Network Southeast version. I think the delivery really suits it, and the application is really nice. Yeah, there's lots to admire on it, I think, but I'm biased, of course.
Of course. And you mentioned there, having done the O gauge locos before, has that been an advantage in downscaling to double O gauge? Does it have any impact on the two?
In some ways. I mean, there's some stuff we can't scale down. There's a lot of detail on our O gauge 47, particularly around the bogies and stuff like that just wouldn't be practical to do in double O. So we're not able to bring that down with us, but we have been able to bring some of the depth to things like the bogie side frames, where on a 47 it's fairly obvious that the springs are deeper behind the bogie frames. We've been able to do that really effectively. And we've been able to bring stuff like the detail plates behind the engine room windows, which weren't on any of our previous 47s. You've just got the metal chassis block behind the window on the old one, but you've got detail behind there now, which it catches your eye as the loco passes. But yeah, we were also, being quite honest, there were one or two things, bit of feedback about our O gauge 47, and things we weren't happy with, where we've been able to overcome that and correct it on or improve it on the 0047. So yeah, it all builds into the experience.
So what about the mechanical setup for the new Class 47?
Well, I think a lot of people will have fond memories of our previous 47 and how sort of powerful and reliable and smooth they were. We didn't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater, and we've retained a similar sort of mechanical setup. So you've got a large centrally mounted motor driving 4 axles. The centre axles on each bogie are floating, which allows the loco to ride very smoothly over point work, uneven track and changes of gradient, things like that. It's got 2 brass flywheels. It's very smooth, really nice runner. Other standard features are include it's got a good heavy die-cast chassis block, sprung buffers and NEM couplings.
So the first batch is literally leaving the factory as we're sitting here talking today.
Yep.
So what options are coming in that first batch of locos and liveries?
So there's 3 reasonably early locos with glazed head cowl panels. There's an original as-built 2-tone green with small yellow panel. There's the 2-tone green with full yellow ends, as we can see in front of us, and there's also a blue one with tops numbers but with glazed head cowl panels. Then there's another blue one slightly later, a 47.3, a really sort of bog standard, very ordinary BR blue freight loco as a 47.3, ideal for MGR trains, Speedling trains, stuff like that. But and then there's a large logo blue 47.4, a couple of rail freight ones, red stripe and petroleum sector. There's Intercity 47.555 Commonwealth Spirit, which a lot of people will remember. There's also a plain departmental grey 47.3, again a very ordinary looking loco, but you know, a real kind of solid layout loco, a working loco, yeah, exactly. And then there's Parcels red and grey, and then through the Gauge Master collection there's the NSE 47.
And the Gauge Master collection one, is that available across all the Gauge Master retailer network?
Yes, anybody that stocks Gauge Master products or has a Gauge Master account can stock this as well. Yeah.
And in terms of each one of those, it's available both DCC ready and DCC sound fit, that's right?
Yes, all those options are available with DC sound. I should also mention that there's TMC, I've got an exclusive BR Blue Class 47 as well, but it's one of the first 2 or 3 ETH fitted BR Blue ones from the very end of the Class 47 build. So that's but that's only available initially with DCC ready.
And we can't forget to mention, we've just also announced recently we've got a Porterbrook purple and white one coming as 47817, but that's part of the second batch, not part of this first batch. So
that'll be coming in the second batch. That's the only one from the second batch. That and the Gauge Master ones for the second batch are already announced. But there'll be some more exciting announcements to come.
There's 1 or 2 liveries to go out with the 47, aren't there? So.
Yeah, it'll keep us going for a while, I think.
Yes,
yeah,
definitely. Yeah. Excellent. So, like I said, it is leaving the factory now, but do you know when it's actually arriving and what the prices will be for the first batch?
They'll be here back end of January or early February. The DCC ready locos are $249.95, and with sound they are $389.95.
Excellent. Well, I've got to say, from the list of locos you've just been through today, I'm already looking forward to a few of those. I can see my shopping list brewing. We're looking forward to seeing the final production locos arrive here in the office as well, and you'll be able to read more about that on keymodeloil.com and in a future issue of Hornby magazine. Thank you for joining us here today, Ben. It's great to catch up on the Class 47s, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.